cold walls of Mars Station 9 echoed with silence. Deep underground, far from sunlight, a dark cell held something the soldiers feared. An alien woman unlike any other they had seen before. Her name was Virilia. She sat quietly in the center of the room, bound by energy chains. Her skin was pale, almost silver in color, and her long black hair hung like a curtain over her shoulders. Her eyes glowed softly with a red light. She did not move much. She did not speak. Most people at the station called her the vampire. Nobody visited her unless they had to, except Corporal Elias Ward. Elias was a young soldier, only 25 years old. He had joined the Mars Protection Force, hoping to protect people, not to guard someone who was called a monster. But duty was duty. Every day he brought food to the alien woman's cell. Most guards threw the tray through the slot and left quickly. Elias didn't. He always paused. One day, as he placed the tray near the force field, he looked at her and said, "You okay?" To his surprise, she lifted her head. Her eyes locked on his. For a moment, Elias felt like his heart skipped a beat. There was something in her eyes. Not rage, not danger. Sadness, then, quietly in perfect English. She whispered, "Thank you." Elias blinked. "You speak English?" "Yes," she said. Her voice was soft, calm. "I've learned by listening." Elias hesitated. No one had said she could talk. Reports said she was dangerous, emotionless, and silent. But here she was, speaking clearly. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then replied, "Virilia." He nodded. "I'm Elias." She didn't answer, but she didn't look away either. From that day, Elias started saying something small every time he came. A greeting, a joke, a simple comment. Virilia didn't always reply, but when she did, her words were thoughtful. Weeks passed. One evening, Elias brought her meal and found her staring at the wall. Bad day. He asked, "I heard your officers," she said. "They speak loudly. They called me a creature, a thing." Her voice broke for a moment. "Is that what I am to your kind?" Elias didn't know what to say. He sat on the other side of the force field. "Don't think you're a thing," he said. "You speak, you feel. That makes you a person to me." Virilia looked surprised. Then, something strange happened. She smiled just a little. "No one has spoken to me like that in a long time," she said. "Your kind fears me. I understand why." "Why do they fear you?" Elias asked. She looked down at her hands, still bound. "My people need energy to survive. A kind that we take from blood, but not to kill. We used to live in peace with other species. We built cities. We shared knowledge. But fear spreads fast. We were hunted. I am the last." Elias leaned back, trying to understand. "So, you're not a killer?" "I've defended myself," she said. "But I never wanted to hurt anyone." There was silence between them. "I believe you," Elias said. Virilia closed her eyes. "You were the first to say that." The next day, Elias was called into a meeting. His commander, Captain Rhodes, warned him. "You're getting too close to the alien," Rhodes said. "That thing isn't human. Don't forget that." "She's not a thing," Elias replied carefully. "She has a name. She talks. She listens." "That doesn't matter," the captain snapped. "She's dangerous. You're a soldier, not her friend." Elias left the meeting feeling heavy. Something didn't feel right. The more he learned about Virilia, the more he questioned the stories they had been told. One night, he brought her something smaller gift. It was a music player. It's an old device, simple and clean, loaded with earth music. He handed it through the small opening in the wall. "What is this?" she asked. "Something from home," he said. "You might like it." She placed the earbuds in her ears and pressed play. The soft notes of a piano melody filled her world. She froze, her red eyes wide. Slowly, she closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her. Tears began to fall down her cheeks. "I haven't heard music since my people died," she whispered. Elias sat down again, feeling something stir in his heart. She wasn't just some alien locked in a cell. She was alone, grieving, forgotten. "Virilia," he said quietly. "I don't know what's going to happen next, but I promise I won't treat you like a monster." She looked at him, her face calm but full of emotion. "Thank you, Elias," she said. "That is the first kindness I've known in years." Deep underground, in a place built to hold fear and violence, something unexpected had begun. A friendship. Elias returned to his quarters that night, but his mind was not at rest. He kept thinking about Varela, how she smiled when she heard music, how her voice trembled when she spoke of her people, and how her eyes held sorrow deeper than space itself. She wasn't a monster, he was sure of that now, but outside her cell no one else believed it. "Still babysitting the vampire?" asked Sergeant Keller the next morning, as Elias walked toward the lower cell block. Elias didn't respond. "She's dangerous," Keller continued. "One day she'll snap and tear your throat out." Elias shook his head. "She hasn't even raised her voice." "That's what makes her more dangerous," Keller muttered. Elias kept walking. Down in the lower tunnels, Varelia sat cross-legged. On the floor, the music player in her hands. The headphones were still in place. She didn't hear him approach until he gently tapped the door. "You're early today," she said, pulling one earbud out. "Couldn't sleep much," Elias replied. She tilted her head. "Because of me? Because of the way everyone talks about you?" "They don't know you." Varelia looked down. "They never wanted to." Elias sat outside the force field, setting down her food tray. "Can I ask something?" She nodded slowly. "Why?" "Didn't you fight back when they captured you?" Varelia paused before speaking. "I could have. I had strength. But I knew what would happen. If I hurt even one human, it would prove their fear was right. So I let them take me." Elias looked at her with admiration. "That takes courage." "No," she said. "It takes hope. Hope that maybe, one day someone would listen." He didn't know what to say, so he simply sat in silence. Varelia placed the music player aside. "Where are you from, Elias?" she asked gently. "Earth. Northern America. A small town near the mountains. Lots of snow." "That sounds beautiful," she said. "My world had crystal fields that sang in the wind. Now it's gone." Elias felt her words like a quiet ache in his chest. Later that day, Captain Rhodes called Elias to his office again. "We've received intel. Alien Rights Group has leaked information about the prisoner," he said. "Command is worried this could cause public pressure." "What does that mean?" Elias asked. "It means the higher-ups want to solve the problem quickly," Rhodes said, his tone hard. "No more delays." Elias felt a cold fear inside him. "You mean they want to kill her?" "She's a threat," Rhodes said firmly. "We gave her food and shelter. That's more than she deserves." Elias clenched his fists. "Sir, she hasn't hurt anyone. She's peaceful." "This is not your decision, Corporal," the captain warned. "Stay in line. We'll replace you." That night, Elias couldn't sleep again. He sat in his small room, staring at the ceiling. The thought of Varelia being erased like a mistake made his stomach turn. He remembered her smile, her tears, her stories. She trusted him, and now her life was in danger. Do nothing. The next day, he visited her again. This time, there was something in his eyes, a storm he couldn't hide. "You're upset," Varelia said. "What happened?" Looked around, then sat down. "They're planning something. You're not safe here anymore." Varelia's eyes darkened slightly, but she stayed calm. "I know, you know. I heard your commander's words through the walls. They echo, you see. I'm not surprised." "Why didn't you say anything?" "What would I say? Please let me live." "That never worked before." Elias looked at her, heart heavy. "I'm sorry. You've been kind," she said. "It's more than I hoped for." He stood suddenly. "This isn't right. You deserve a chance." "I have to do something." She reached toward the force field, fingers stopping just short of the glowing line. "You would risk yourself for me." "I already did," he replied. "The moment I brought you that music player." She smiled, but it was a sad smile. Later, that evening, Elias checked the shift schedule. The guard rotation changed at midnight. For exactly 6 minutes, the hallway outside the lower cells would be unguarded. 6 minutes. That's all he had. He returned to his room and opened his personal locker. Inside, he had a spare uniform, a stolen access key, and 2 emergency plasma packs used for medical purposes. He slipped the packs into his bag. Virilia would need energy if they escaped. He waited for midnight. At 11:59 p.m., Elias moved through the empty corridor. His boots echoed in the silence. He reached the control panel outside Virelia's cell and used his access key. The force field hissed and powered down. Virelia stepped out slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the floor. "I hope you're ready," Elias said. "No, turning back now." "I have nothing to turn back to," she replied. They moved quickly through the tunnels. Elias had studied the old maps of the facility before it was upgraded. There were emergency escape routes from the mining days. One of them led to the surface, but time was not on their side. As they reached the end of a narrow hallway, a red light flashed above. "Alert! Security breach in cell block 7. They had been discovered." "Run," Elias shouted. They dashed into the maintenance shaft. Behind them, alarms echoed like angry voices. Virelia moved fast, surprisingly fast, even after years in chains. "I know a place," she said breathlessly. "A safe place, deep under the surface. If we make it, they won't find us." "Then lead the way," Elias said. For the first time since she was captured, Virelia wasn't walking alone. She had a human at her side. The tunnels beneath Mars Station 9 were old and half-forgotten. Dust covered the metal floors. Pipes dripped with condensation. These passageways hadn't been used in years, except by rats and shadows. Elias ran behind Virelia, breathing heavily. His uniform was torn, and his pulse was racing. The alarms still echoed faintly behind them. Red lights blinked far above. "Warning every soldier in the base, the alien has escaped." And Elias Ward was now a traitor, Virelia, the weak from years of captivity, moved swiftly. Her eyes scanned the darkness ahead like a hunter searching for a path. "There's an old freight lift not far," she said. "If it still works, it can take us deeper where even their scanners won't reach." Elias nodded. Let's hope no one else had that same idea. Back at the base, chaos had begun. Captain Rhodes slammed his hand on the control table. "How did this happen?" "Where are they now?" "Security footage shows Corporal Elias Ward deactivating the cell barrier," reported an officer. "Oh, he helped her escape." Rhodes' face turned red. He was warned.
"Ow."
"Now we've got an alien on the loose end, a soldier gone rogue." The base sent out a priority signal to all hunter teams. Target is the alien female. The soldier is secondary. Capture if possible. Eliminate if necessary. The hunt had begun. Virelia and Elias reached the lift, a large rusted platform, surrounded by steel bars. It creaked as she pressed a button. Sparks flew, but the platform began to lower slowly, disappearing into darkness. Elias stared down. "Where does it go, old mines?" she said. "Deeper than the prison levels. Some tunnels were built by my people, long ago." Elias looked at her. "Your people were here before?" "Yes," she said. "Not many know. We came peacefully. Long before Mars was colonized, we stayed hidden. But when humans arrived, we left, or died." Elias was quiet. Couldn't imagine a time before human boots touched Mars. But if what she said was true, humans had taken more than just land aid. Taken lives without even knowing. The lift groaned and stopped at the bottom. The air was cold and dry. The light from Elias' flashlight flickered across broken rails and ancient walls, marked with strange glowing symbols. Virelia smiled slightly. "We're close." They walked through winding tunnels, turning corners, ducking under fallen beams. After some time, they reached a wide chamber filled with crystal columns. They hummed softly an alien song. "This place," Elias whispered. "It's beautiful." Virelia placed her hand on one of the crystals. This was a place of rest, a sanctuary. "The energy here can hide us for a while." Elias sat down, exhausted. He handed her one of the stolen plasma packs. "Here, you need this." She took it carefully, drinking from the sealed pouch. Her red eyes dimmed slightly, becoming softer. "I didn't want you to get involved," she said. "You had a life, Duty. Now, because of me, you've lost everything. I didn't lose everything, Elias said quietly. Found something more important than duty. She looked at him, surprised. What? The truth? He said. And a friend? For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them was peaceful, but peace never lasted long. Above ground, the hunter teams tracked their location. Drones scanned the lower tunnels. A heat signal had been picked up deep in the mines. They're hiding underground, said one commander. We'll send in drones and squads through the west shaft. They won't make it out alive. The next morning, Elias and Varelia sat near one of the crystals, sharing a dry meal from his pack. Do you think we'll make it out of here? Elias asked. Varelia looked thoughtful. I don't know, but I'm not afraid anymore. Why? Because someone saw me as more than a monster, she replied. Suddenly, the crystal pulsed with red light. Varelia stood quickly. Something's coming. Elias grabbed his weapon and ran toward the tunnel entrance. A buzzing sound grew louder. Drones. Get behind cover, Elias shouted. Small flying machines entered the chamber, their lights flashing. Elias fired, hitting the first. 1. Varelia raised her hand and sent a wave of red energy toward another, making it crash. But more were coming. They ran again, deeper into the tunnels. This way, Varelia called, turning into a narrow cave. Behind them, the walls shook. Explosives had been dropped in the upper levels. We can't outrun them forever, Elias said, breathing hard. I know, she replied. But there's one more place. They reached a sealed door, half buried in rock. Strange symbols lit up as Varelia touched them. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a small room filled with alien technology, glowing softly. This is a shielding chamber, she said. It can block all tracking signals for a short time. We can rest here, maybe even plan our next move. Elias walked inside, amazed. You've lived through so much, he said, but you're still fighting. Shh. Sat down, tired but calm. I fight because I still believe that not all humans are cruel, that peace is possible. Elias nodded. Then let's survive, together. Outside, the hunter teams closed in, but inside the chamber, for now the soldier and the alien woman were safe. They didn't know what would come next, but they had each other, and that meant hope was still alive. The air in the hidden chamber was quiet. For a few hours, there were no alarms, no footsteps, no drones, only the soft humming of ancient alien machines. Varelia sat in the center, eyes closed, her hand resting on one glowing panel. Elias stood at the entrance, holding his pulse rifle. He didn't feel safe, but he knew this was the only place the scanners couldn't reach.
For now, are you?
Okay, he asked softly. I'm regaining strength, Varelia answered. This place still has life energy. It's weak, but enough. Elias looked around. The machines were beautiful, smooth, silver with faint lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. He could feel something in the air. Calm, peace, history. What was this place? He asked. A memory chamber, Varelia said. My people used it to store knowledge, stories, and dreams. It was built to remind us of who we were. Elias stepped closer. Can it help us? She nodded. I can unlock it fully, it may. Show us a safe way out to reveal something powerful. Before she could continue, sharp sound echoed from the tunnel. Clank, clank, clank. Elias moved to the doorway and aimed his rifle. Drones, he said. They're getting closer. Varelia stood slowly. Then we have little time left. Far above, Commander Lorne of the Mars Special Force studied a hologram. The red dot marked Varelia's heat signature, still faint, but growing. We have a lock, his second-in-command said. The fugitive is hiding in Sector 12. Deep tunnels, ancient alien structure. Send in the hunter team, Lorne ordered. And tell them this time, no mercy. Soldiers in black armor moved into formation, armed with high-energy weapons. Drones flew ahead, scanning every passage. They were trained to kill, not capture. Back in the chamber, Varelia placed both hands on the main console. A soft hum filled the air. What are you doing? Elias asked. Unlocking the core memory, she said. A beam of light rose from the console, forming a large floating image. Elias watched in awe. The image showed a red planet Mars. Long ago before humans, strange, elegant towers stood under a violet sky. Beings like Virelia walked peacefully through glowing fields. This was our home, she said softly. Long before humans, we lived here in peace. The image changed. Ships arrived, human ships. The sky turned dark. The towers fell. People scattered or were killed. Elias clenched his fists. We never knew. You were not the ones who started the war, Virelia said, but you finished it. My people fled. I was left behind. The image faded suddenly. The floor trembled. Footsteps. Elias whispered. They're close. He ran to the entrance and looked out. Red lights flashed in the distance. Voices echoed. We have to move, he said. Virelia touched the console one last time. Side wall slid open, revealing a tunnel. This path leads to the old energy chambers, she said. If we reach them, I may find a way to survive without blood. Elias raised an eyebrow. Without blood? Yes. A clean power source. My people built it before the war. If it still works, I will never need to feed again. Elias smiled. Then let's get you there. They entered the new tunnel. It was dark and narrow. Pipes ran along the walls. Dust hung in the air. Behind them, they heard weapons fire. ZZZK. Drones had reached the chamber they'd just left. Move faster, Elias shouted. They ran. Virelia's long coat flowed behind her. Her pale skin almost glowed in the dark. Elias felt like they were running through time, running toward something bigger than survival. The tunnel opened into a massive room. Tall columns of light rose from the ground. In the center stood a glowing orb, floating above a metal platform. This is it, Virelia said. The heart of Solon. It was made to heal and power all life without harm. She stepped forward, but suddenly, boom, a blast hit the wall. Behind them, a team of soldiers stormed in. There they are, someone shouted. Take the alien down. Leah stood in front of Virelia, gun raised. Don't come closer. Virelia closed him. Virelia closed her eyes. Her body glowed faintly. She raised her hand and a wave of red energy pulsed from her body. It didn't harm anyone. Instead, it shut down the soldiers' weapons and drones in one burst. The men looked at each other, confused. What just happened? She disabled your systems without hurting you, Elias said. Does that look like a monster to you? The soldiers hesitated. Their commander shouted, Don't listen to them. Shoot. But none of the soldiers fired. Virelia stepped onto the platform and placed her hands on the orb. Light poured into her body, gentle and pure. Her eyes changed no longer red, but soft silver. I don't need blood anymore, she said. I am free. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. Elias walked beside her, heart pounding. You did it, he whispered. No, she replied. We did. Far away in a command room, Captain Rhodes received a message from his troops, sir. The soldier said, She didn't attack us. She could have, but she stopped. She healed herself. Rhodes frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying what we thought. It's back underground. Virelia looked at Elias. I think this is just the beginning, she said. Elias smiled. Then let's show them what peace looks like. The room grew quiet again. The soldiers, still holding their weapons, stood frozen in front of the glowing orb. None of them moved. None of them fired. Virelia stepped off the platform slowly. Her silver eyes now glowed gently, her face calm and full of peace. The energy inside her had changed. She no longer felt hunger or pain. She was no longer a prisoner. Of her own nature, I feel free, she whispered. Elias looked at her in awe. You're glowing. She smiled. The heart of Solon was made to cleanse us, to release us from the need to take. I never thought I would feel this way again. One of the soldiers lowered his weapon. We were told you were dangerous, he said. But you saved us. You spared us. I only wanted to survive, Virelia said. And now, maybe to live. Soon after, Elias received a message from an unknown signal. A soft beep came from his wrist device. He checked it was encrypted, old, almost forgotten. "What is it?" Varelia asked. He turned the screen toward her, an old signal. "Buried. In military files, it's pointing to something deeper underground." Varelia narrowed her eyes. "That signal is ancient, but familiar. It could be from the last stronghold of my people." Elias looked surprised. "You mean there might be others?" She nodded slowly. "Maybe, or maybe just what they left behind. Either way, we should go." The soldiers who had tried to capture them now stood back. One of them stepped forward. "We'll report that we lost you in the lower tunnels," he said. "But we won't follow you." "Why?" Elias asked. "Because we saw the truth," the soldier replied. "And because I think some of us want peace too." Varelia gave a small bow of thanks. Hours later, Elias and Varelia followed the signal. Through a deep cavern, walking carefully over rocky ground. The air grew colder, but the signal grew stronger. After a long climb down a narrow shaft, saw it. A massive underground city was hidden beneath layers of stone and time. Towers made of crystal and metal rose from the ground. Blue and green lights still flickered between windows. It looked untouched, as if waiting for someone to return. Elias stared in wonder. "This place is incredible." Varelia stepped forward, her eyes wide with emotion. "It's Salonvar, the last city of my kind. I thought it was destroyed." They entered the city through a long stone bridge. Carvings lined the walls, stories told in images. Varelia stopped at one. "This shows the fall," she said. "When humans arrived, and when my people scattered." "I'm sorry," Elias said softly. "We didn't know." She turned to him. "But now you do, and you chose to help me." They reached a central chamber with a large crystal tree in the middle. Its branches glowed faintly. Round it stood tall pillars with glowing orbs. This was the place of council, she said. Leaders, scientists, and artists all met here. It was the heart of our world. She touched the tree's trunk. Suddenly the ground pulsed. Lights flickered on across the city. Doors opened. Screens lit up. The city was waking up. While they explored, Varelia found a chamber with memory stones. She placed one into a console. A soft blue light rose, showing a hologram of an older being, tall and noble. "This is my father," she said quietly. He led the last group who stayed behind. The figure spoke. "To whoever finds this, know that we did not leave in hate. We hoped for peace. We built this city to last, not for war, but for memory. And for the one who returns, may you build a better future." Varelia stepped back, her hands shaking. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." She looked at him with tearful eyes. "I thought I was the last. But maybe. My people still live in what we left behind." But all was not safe. Above ground, Captain Rhodes received another report. "Sir, the soldiers from the lower tunnels didn't return. They're hiding something." Rhodes slammed his fist down. "Then we go in ourselves. We can't destroy. The alien will bury her." He ordered a massive drill to dig directly into the caverns. "We'll crush the tunnels and seal them forever." Deep below, Elias and Varelia stood in the middle of the glowing city. They didn't know that danger was already coming. Varelia sat near the crystal tree, listening to its energy. "I can hear the voices," she said. "Not words, but feelings. My people wanted peace so badly, and now I carry their hope." Elias sat beside her. "I'll help protect that hope." Suddenly, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Elias stood up. "That's not normal, no," Varelia said, eyes wide. "Something is attacking from above." Opened his wrist device. A warning flashed. "Surface drill detected." "Impact in 30 minutes? They're trying to collapse the tunnels," Elias said. "They'll destroy everything." Varelia stood quickly. "Then we must protect it." She ran to the control console near the crystal tree. "This city still has defense systems. I can reach them. I might be able to create a shield." "Can you do it in time?" Elias asked. "I don't know," she said honestly. "But I have to try." As the drill dug closer and the ceiling began to crack, Varelia placed both hands on the glowing core. The city responded. Crystals lit up across towers. Energy beams rose into the air. The walls shimmered with force. "Come on! Come on!" she whispered. Elias stood ready, holding his weapon, watching the ceiling crumble above. Finally, a deep hum filled the air. A dome of light rose over the city. The drill above crashed through the final layer, out, only to hit the shield and bounce. Back, shattered. Varelia fell to her knees, breathing hard. The shield held. Elias rushed to her. "You did it." She smiled weakly. "I saved it. I saved them." As the city glowed around them, Elias helped her to her feet. "Now what?" he asked. She looked up at the lights, then at him. "Now, tell the world." The glowing dome of energy pulsed softly above the lost city. Beneath it, Elias and Varelia stood side by side, watching the lights flicker in the quiet halls. Outside, the world above Mars was still watching. Back at Mars Station 9, Captain Rhodes sat grim-faced. In the command center, the news of the shielded city spread quickly through military channels. His superiors demanded results. "Terminate the alien immediately." The order came down from Earth. No exceptions. Rhodes stared at the screen showing the live drone feed near the city's edge. "They're hiding behind an energy shield," one officer reported. "Weapons are useless." Rhodes slammed his fist on the table, then find a way to break it. "This alien cannot be allowed to live." Deep underground, Varelia and Elias prepared for what they both knew was coming. "We can't stay here forever," Elias said, loading his rifle. "They'll keep attacking." Varelia nodded. "But if I surrender, they'll kill me." "Then we fight," Elias said simply. "But not to destroy, to protect." She smiled faintly. "You believe in peace." "I believe in you," Elias said. They spent the next hours strengthening the city's defenses. Varelia connected with the ancient systems, learning to control the shield and activate non-lethal traps barriers to block soldiers, not hurt them. Elias practiced moving quietly through the tunnels, preparing to lead any intruders away from the heart of the city. When night came, the silence broke. Outside, engines roared. Hunter teams surrounded the city, their weapons aimed at the dome. "Prepare to breach," the commander ordered. Varelia stood at the city's entrance, calm, but alert. Elias was beside her, ready. The first wave of soldiers moved forward with high-powered weapons. They fired on the shield, but the energy dome held strong. Then, strange things happened. The shield pulsed with a warm red glow. The weapons fired suddenly stopped working. Inside the city, traps activated metal nets dropped from above, blocking hallways. Strobes of light created confusing paths. Soldiers faltered. Elias moved quickly, guiding trapped soldiers away from danger, speaking calmly. "Don't fight her. She only wants peace." Captain Rhodes watched, furious. "Increase power to weapons. Overload the shield." A massive cannon charged up on the surface, ready to fire. But just as the weapon fired, a live broadcast began. From the city's control room, Varelia's face appeared on every screen on Mars and Earth. Her voice was steady, clear. "I am Varelia. I am not your enemy." She told the story of her people, how they once lived peacefully on Mars, how they were hunted and lost. She had only ever wanted to survive. "I ask for peace," she said, "not war. Let us find a way to live together, not destroy each other." Across the planets, millions watched. Some were moved, others angry, but the broadcast changed something. Soldiers hesitated. The cannon charged again. Elias shouted, "Varelia, the cannon!" She raised her hand. The shield flared bright, blocking the blast. The ground shook. Dust fell, but the shield held in the silence after the blast. Elias saw a soldier lowering his weapon, one by one. Others followed. Varelia stepped forward, her eyes soft and hopeful. "We can choose a new path," she said. Captain Rhodes clenched. His jaw but knew the battle was lost. The command from Earth came in again, "Stand down." After the fight, Elias and Varelia stood under the glowing dome, breathing in the calm air. "You changed everything today," Elias said. "I was." "Given a choice," Varelia replied, "to fight with hate or to fight for hope," he smiled. "You chose well." Days later, negotiations began between humans and the survivors of Solanvar. Varelia was no longer a prisoner, but a leader, a bridge between two worlds. Elias stood by her side, proud. Together, they had rewritten the future. Weeks passed. The city of Solanvar, once buried beneath Mars, was now known across the solar system. What had been thought to be a myth, an ancient alien race living before humans, was now a truth too big to ignore. And at the center of it all was Varelia, the alien woman once feared and rejected. Now, she stood as a symbol of peace. The world above was changing. News channels on Earth, Mars, and the Moon broadcast Varelia's message again and again. Some people were afraid. Others were curious. Most were surprised by one thing. She had not taken revenge. She had not used her power to destroy. She had chosen kindness, and because of that, others began to listen. A council was formed between Earth's governments and Varelia's supporters. They met inside Solanvar, sitting under the glowing crystal tree where peace talks once happened long ago. Elias Ward was also there, no longer wearing a soldier's uniform. Now, he stood as a bridge between humans and the unknown. "I was ordered to guard her," he told the council. "But I chose to help her because she was more human than many humans I've met." Some in the council nodded. Others still held doubts. "But how do we trust her kind?" one officer asked. "She's still powerful, different." "She is different," Elias agreed, "but not dangerous." "Not anymore. She found another way to survive without harming anyone." "She used the energy of her ancestors to heal herself," said a scientist. "She no longer needs blood." "What if more of her kind return?" the officer continued. Varelia finally spoke, her voice steady. "Then teach them the same way Elias taught me, through kindness, not fear." The council meeting ended with a historic decision. Solanvar would be protected, and Varelia would become a peace ambassador. Between humans and any other alien race that may be found in the future, the war was over before it truly began. In the weeks that followed, humans and scientists came to Solanvar not with weapons, but with open minds. They studied the crystal energy. They learned about Varelia's culture. They repaired ancient machines and discovered songs, art, and science older than Earth's first cities. Children were the first to laugh and play in the glowing halls. They were not afraid. Hope had taken root. Elias and Varelia often walked through the rebuilt streets of the underground city. New lights glowed from the towers. New voices filled the empty spaces. "Do you think your people will ever return?" Elias asked one day. Varelia stood near a statue of her ancestors. "Some may still live, hidden far away." "Don't. Their spirit lives here now." She looked at him. "And I am not alone anymore," he smiled. "You never were." One morning, as sunlight broke through a new skylight above the central dome, a small transport ship arrived. Inside were a group of alien survivors, tall, pale beings like Varelia, but weaker, quieter. They had been hiding in the outer moons of Saturn, lost and afraid for decades. They had heard the broadcast. They had come home. Varelia welcomed them with open arms. Her people, once hunted and forgotten, now had a place again. Tears filled her eyes as she embraced one of the elders. "You returned," she whispered. "And you lit the path," the elder replied. Later, Elias stood at the edge of the city looking. Out at the tunnels that once held danger, now peaceful and quiet, Varelia walked up beside him. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Leaving the army?" he replied. "Never." He looked at her. "I didn't just find peace here, Varelia. I found my purpose." She smiled, "and I found my humanity." The story of Varelia and Elias spread across Earth and Mars, like a legend. Tale not of war, but of trust, change, and the strength of a single kind act. Where once there was fear, Other was friendship, where once there were walls, now there were bridges. Years later, children ran through the streets of Salanvar, both human and alien. Schools were built. Music echoed from learning halls. Artists painted new stories on old walls, and in the center, under the glowing crystal tree, stood two statues, one of a human soldier holding out his hand, and one of a silver-eyed woman taking it. Beneath the statues were the words, "Peace was not given, it was chosen."